Welcome to LBSU 300. Just going to give you a quick 20-minute overview of what to expect in this course over the next 8 weeks. LBSU 300 is a required course for all Bramman students, and it will introduce you to interdisciplinary thinking, to information literacy, and to concepts of higher education. As students in this course, you will develop the necessary reflective and critical thinking skills that you need to be successful in your college courses. And you'll also be actively developing your writing skills. So this is a great course because it can help you become a better thinker, a better skeptic, and a better critic. They're all attributes of a reflective learner, a critical thinker, and ultimately a successful employee or employer. Processing information, things like remembering and understanding or just regurgitating facts, is an important step in the learning process, and it's a necessary step, but it's what you can do with the facts and the information that you process that will really transform your learning into a more engaging experience. Now, developing these skills takes practice, and sometimes it may seem daunting, but the path is really high. And we are going to learn how to do that over the next 8 weeks. The skills that you need. Now, what about this class? What am I going to be doing in LBSU 300? Well, of course, our culminating project will be a research paper. You're going to have weekly discussions, and you're going to have weekly essay assignments that you will have to do, as well as a lot of reading. One of the other pieces that you need to know about being an online student is you're going to do a lot more reading than you would in a typical face-to-face setting. So first, let's talk a little bit about the research paper. My advice really is to start today. Go in and read the assignment. Make sure you understand what you're being asked to do. Maybe do some preliminary research to help you decide what your overall topic would be. Look at the course at a glance section of the syllabus and be sure you understand when each component of the paper is due. And I think the most important piece of this is to understand that you're going to have to work ahead and you're going to have to do it independently. This project requires you do preliminary research on a lot of topics so that you can find the one that interests you personally. It also requires that your initial topic will be really broad, right? And then your job will be to narrow that, figure out what the main issues are associated with it, and discuss it in a 6-page essay. So spend the time now to do this, because nothing is worse than writing a paper on a topic you don't enjoy or that you're not interested in. However, there is one thing that's worse than that, and that's cramming to do it all at the last minute. So at all costs you want to avoid this. So start today. If you need help coming up with the topic, just let me know. I'll throw out some ideas to you. I'm glad to help. Also in this course, we're going to be doing weekly discussions on our discussion board. We don't meet face-to-face to discuss the course materials, so we have to do it in writing. And we do this using a discussion board to facilitate our discussions. Right? So each student is required to respond to a weekly question, and then you also have to respond to 2 classmates' responses. But don't let your discussion stop there. You can respond to as many as you like, and I really encourage you and urge you to respond to as many as you can, because doing so will make it a more fruitful discussion, and it'll make the experience more meaningful to everybody. And before you do any of your discussions, though, there's one piece of paper you need to read, and that is the discussion board instructions and grading rubric. Now, you can find this located in the link above week 1, and it's also in the discussion board forum. That document will let you know the assignment's requirements and, more importantly, the criteria by which you will be graded. So if you're interested in getting good grades in your discussion boards, be sure to read that first. Okay, so we're going to be doing a lot of writing in this class. I'm going to talk to you right away about proper documentation and format. Now, the first thing you need to know is that avoiding plagiarism is your responsibility as a student. Proper documentation or citation is vital in college because not doing so, not documenting or citing your sources is plagiarism, whether you do it intentionally or not. And plagiarism is a very serious offense. So, whenever you borrow another person's words, ideas, or information, you have to acknowledge that as that person's. So, in other words, give credit where credit is due. I commonly hear students tell me that they thought they just had to cite someone's quotes, but that's not the case. You do have to cite direct quotes, but you also have to cite paraphrases and summaries. Anyone else's work, ideas, or information, you have to cite it. I can't stress the importance enough of understanding what plagiarism is and how to avoid it. So that's why your first reading assignment will be about plagiarism. I personally take academic integrity very seriously, so if you plagiarize, whether you do it intentionally or not, you will earn a failing grade. So take the time to learn what it is and, more importantly, how to avoid it. Okay, so you might say, all right, I get it. I need to cite and give credit where credit is due. But how do I do that? Okay, there are two parts to proper documentation. The first is the parenthetical, which is your citation, and the second is to have a reference page, or sometimes it's called a works cited page. In order to receive a passing grade on any written assignment in this course, you need to have both. You need to have the in-text citations, and you need to have a works cited page. So you need to do it in the proper format as well at any university. So this week's readings in a writer's reference, your little tabbed textbook, it will introduce you to the ins and outs of discipline-specific writing, as well as to the APA, the American Psychological Association style. This is a format and documentation style, and we'll adopt it in this class because it is the most familiar to Brandman students, so it's going to be the most useful to you as you pursue your degree at Brandman. Okay, so we know a little bit about documentation. Now we're going to talk a little bit about developing a good essay. All right, what are the criteria that I look for in a good essay? Well, to be effective, essays need to have focus and organization. Focused, organized essays generally have a really strong thesis statement, and they also have clear, focused topic sentences. They have paragraphs that flow in a logical progression. We'll look next at thesis statements. They're a little bit more complex. Right? Learning how to construct focused thesis statements is an important skill. It takes a little bit of practice. But some good general tips are, generally, it consists of two parts. You have your topic and then the assertion that you want to make. I'm going to give you some examples in just a minute so you can see what it looks like. They need to be specific, right? So it's only going to cover what you want to discuss. And it might help if you think of it as sort of a map for your audience to follow, or maybe like an agenda. And often appears at the end of the first paragraph. So there are a couple of different types. There's the descriptive or explanatory essay, and essay topic, and then there is the persuasive or argumentative type. So first we'll look at the descriptive or explanatory, as I've titled it here. Here you're going to explain something to your audience without making any kind of judgment or argument about it. You're just explaining your thesis to them. So your thesis would include what you're going to explain to them, and then the categories you're going to organize it by. So in this example, if my topic is to discuss the lifestyles of barn owls, my thesis might look something like this. The lifestyles of barn owls include hunting for insects and animals, building nests, and raising their young. So here I have given my topic, which is lifestyles of barn owls, and then I give the agenda. First we're going to talk about insects and animals, then building nests, and then raising their young, in that order. The other type is the argumentative or persuasive essay topic. In this, your thesis is going to tell your claim or assertion and then give the reasons that support this claim. Now, most good arguments are based on research. Right, so you really need to ensure that you have good research to support your assertion or claim. And then here's an example. So our topic, if we continue with the barn owl theme, is to analyze whether or not farmers should remove barn owl nests from their barns. And our thesis might look like this. Farmers should not remove barn owls' nests from barns because these owls help farmers by eliminating insects and rodent pests. Right, so here we have started with our claim, which is that farmers should not remove the owls, and then we give our evidence to support the claim. Another thing to note is that your claim must be a statement that people could reasonably disagree with, because the goal of your paper is to convince your audience that your claim is true. Okay, so those are a couple of types of thesis statements. Now, next is one of the aspects of the essay that most students overlook, and that's the title. Every essay should have an original, thoughtful title that signals the essay's main point or thesis. Okay, so your title needs to be more than just a bare bones identifier, so don't call it Essay 1 or Essay on Management, because this doesn't really tell me anything about what the essay is going to be about. The thing you want to think about is about your reader. You want to make it easy for them to quickly see and understand what you're going to be writing about. So essay number 1 tells me nothing except that I'm going to be reading an essay. Well, there are billions of essays out there, so be far more specific than that. The other example, Essay on Management, is really too broad, right? So what about management? Is it some particular point in management or type of management, or, right? It's not specific enough. So think about it this way. Your title signals to the reader what your essay is about. So here in this example, the title is Jefferson on Slavery. So this gets a little more specific for us. I know I'm going to be reading about Jefferson, whether it's his views on slavery or his decisions on slavery, I'm not sure, but it's something to do with Jefferson and slavery. Another common academic device to create a little bit of elegance is to use the title and a subtitle, and you separate them with a colon, like in this example here. Typically the titles are balanced so that one is broad and the other is narrow. So here our broad title is Mysteries of State, and then our more narrow subtitle is An Absolute Concept and Its Late Medieval Origins. So really here we're getting far more specific about what our essay topic is. So those are pretty much the nuts and bolts. We're going to talk more about the body in the coming weeks. I'll give you a very quick view of what should be included in your body. Your thesis statement, contains one or more supporting ideas, if you remember. So then each of your paragraphs will develop those supporting ideas individually. So each paragraph will be structured with one reason, one of the supporting ideas with the topic sentence, and then one or two examples, and then a transition that leads you into the next supporting idea. And so those are the basics of an essay, and that's the basics of what we are going to be doing in LBSU 300. This week you have your reading assignments. You have a couple of reading assignments out of your 2 textbooks, and then you have a couple that are made available online through Blackboard. Be sure and schedule out enough time so that you can get all of the reading completed. And then you'll have 2 discussion questions for this week and an essay assignment. So if you have any questions throughout the week or throughout the entire session, please feel free to contact me via email or phone. My contact information is available within the Blackboard site. And it's a pleasure to have you in class. I look forward to working with you.